The gorgeous Autodromo Internacional Algarve in Portugal is our backdrop for the continuation of the 2024 F4 Spanish Championship. It has already been a fantastic start to the season in the first 3 races of the championship that we had a few weeks ago at Jarama in Spain, and yesterday's encounter with Chiara Malazzari winning from pole position, which gives us a dead heat in the championship going into the second race of 3 this weekend, with Lucas Flusha and Chiara Malazzari now dead level on championship points. The title battle can really start to take shape, and we're going to have a sensational battle in the championship continuing to play out with the overcast conditions here in Portugal. So far, no rain, but certainly the threat of anything possibly happening going into this second race. Hello, everybody. Jake Sanson here with you once again as the battle is set to rage, and we can have a fantastic run for all of the competition to play out ahead of us. It's going to be a fascinating race battle as we have a 25 minutes plus the additional bonus lap ahead of us to continue in sensational battles out on the course. And it's going to be an MP Motorsport front row of the starting grid for this one, with pole position sitter yesterday, Chiara Malazzari, returning to the front end of the grid once more. And it's going to be the Formula Winter Series champion, Griffin Peebles, that lines up alongside him on the front row of the starting grid. Good to see that some good luck has come his way once again, and he will line up on the front row. Ernesto Rivera continuing a fast weekend, although so far not a prosperous one in terms of his results, but he is there in third position on the starting grid regardless, alongside the Red Bull youngster James Igozzi of Miami in Florida. He lines up fourth on the grid. Then Thomas Strauven, already a race winner this year for the Rodin Motorsport team, fifth position on the grid alongside Mattia Colnaghi, who found himself on the podium yesterday. Then we have René Lammers, the Dutchman, continuing on his journey in the Racing Team Nederland colours, the version of his car for MP Motorsport. And then the Polish ace Jan Piotrowski lining up in 8th position on the starting grid. Nathan Ty, the Englishman for Campos Racing, on the 5th row of the grid alongside Andres Cardenas, the Peruvian, for the Griffin Core by Motorsport, by Campos team, I should say. It's going to be another tough day at the office for Lucas Flusha, the championship leader he may be, but maybe for not much longer. 11th on the grid for him alongside Michael Pedersen. And then Due de Decker, you just saw his bright pink BWT-inspired car, 13th on the starting grid alongside Juan Cota. And then Maciek Gladish, the Polish superstar, 15th on the grid alongside Gabriel Gomez of Brazil for the TC Racing team. Of course, the team that is named after the goalkeeping superstar from back in the day, Thibaut Courtois. And then we have Gustav Wisniewski and Peter Puzanelos lining up on the 9th row of the grid, with the Santalok pairing joined at the hip. Matteo Quintarelli and Yvan David, both who live in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates these days. Francisco Macedo and Tim Gerhardt, Enzo Tarvanitschkul and Lenny Ritz, and then Maxi Restrepo and Preston Lambert from Christian Cantu and Victor Dobrzansky, Adam Hideg and Alexander Jacobi, Matas Reiber and Leo Bloch, Rehan Hakim and Lorenzo Castillo, and then Filippo Fiorentino is the 35th and last competitor taking part in this particular race. Not entirely sure what has happened to our 36th driver on the starting grid, but we will bring you the news of that as soon as is humanly possible. I'm fairly sure it was Eloy Gonzalez that we were supposed to have in this particular rotation, but certainly haven't seen hide nor hair of Eloy Gonzalez in this particular race. So we will have to bring you news on that one when we get a bit of an update. There is Thomas Strauven, the Belgian talent for the Rodin Motorsport team, looking very strong and looking quite confident coming into this one, still very much in the fight for the championship. I mentioned that Lucas Flusha and Chiara Malazzari were in a dead heat on 60 points apiece, but it's not as if Thomas Strauven is out of the running by any means. He's on 51 points, 9 behind the other two, so there's definitely very much a game-on attitude at Rodin Motorsport. Over at MP, this man is doing a fair job. Mattia Colnaghi in the KCL MP Motorsport Run squad. 2 squads within a squad, as if you like. And then we're also going to have some tough battles coming in from the competitors around him. Watch out for the MP Motorsport machine of René Lammers, the Dutchman, hoping for another strong performance out on the course, hoping to emulate his fantastic father, who has been a Formula One driver and a Le Mans 24 Hours winner, as well as a British Touring Car Championship racer for the Volvo 850 Saloon estate. Fabulous opportunity for the competitors to continue on here at the Portimao circuit in Portugal, scene of where Lewis Hamilton was able to secure his 100th Grand Prix race victory, and scene of so many great things that have happened in the world of motorsport over the last 10 years or so. But it is a celebrationary weekend for F4 racing, because it was 10 years ago yesterday that the first ever F4 race governed by and certified by the FIA took place. It was in the Italian Championship, and so many great racers have gone on to win F4 races in the past. The 15-second board showed to the drivers they will go around for a formation lap around the course, and then we will be able to have some spectacular racing in front of us. Here we go. The green flag flies, and our drivers go around the course then for their formation lap. They will form up again on the starting grid at the end of this lap, and then it's all go for the racing. 25 minutes plus 1 lap going on the timing screen, and these 35 young racing drivers are going to be left to their own devices out on the course to push for glory. Chiara Valesari and Griffin Peebles on the front row, Ernesto Rivera and James Igozzi on the second, Thomas Strauven and Mattia Colnaghi, René Lammers and Jan Pestrovski, Nathan Tai and Andres Cardenas from Lucas Flusha and Miguel Pedersen, Due de Decker and Juan Cota from Maciej Gladys and Gabriel Gomez, Gustav Wisniewski and Peter Buzanelos, Matteo Quintarelli and Yavan David, Francisco Macedo and Tim Gerhardt, Enzo Tarpanishkul and Lenny Ritz from Maxi Restrepo and Preston Lambert, Christian Cantu and Viktor Tomshansky, Adam Hideg of Hungary and Alexander Jacobi alongside him, and Matas Driver and Leah Blanc, Rahan Hakim, Lorenzo Castillo and Filippo Fiorentino completing the grid. There is one absence from the fray, and that is Eloy Gonzalez. So the race will continue without him. We'll bring you the updates on that one as to why we no longer have the 36th man in the mix. As the drivers obviously still getting themselves up to speed at this moment in time. It is a pretty tricky part of the race, this, just trying to make sure that the brakes and tyres are dialed in. You've got to make sure that you're in the best possible position to try and make gains and move yourself further forward. It'll be very, very different and very difficult to see how the competition continues to elevate. It is a shame that we have Eloy Gonzalez absent from this one. He's obviously still very much in his karting world, as much as he is racing in single-seaters. This was his first ever weekend in single-seaters. The safety car ready to catch the field, just in case there's an issue of some kind on the start of the race proceedings. But let's see who gets the run to the first corner. All of the competitors running for a sensational charge forward. And now we'll find out who is going to be the latest race winner of this campaign. So far, we've had 3 different race winners: Lucas Flusha, Thomas Strauven, and yesterday, Chiara Valesari. Are we going to see a 4th different winner in 5 races? Or will it be Chiara Valesari to make it 2 from 2? Could Griffin Peebles get a decent run to the first corner? Looking good from the front row, the starting grid, the American driver. Could be fascinating to see what he is able to create out there on the course. The Australian driver, I should say, Griffin Peebles, my apologies. It'd be fantastic to see how well he goes from that front row of the starting grid. There is Griffin Peebles, the Antipodean, looking to charge forward and beat his teammate Chiara Valesari to the first corner. And if he does so, then all bets are off for the race victory. Could be really exciting to see how it goes. There's Alex Jacobi for the GRS USA team, along with Adam Hideg for the Cram Motorsport team. The last few cars getting into position, and we are going to charge our way to the first corner here at the Autodromo Internacional Algarve, the 5th race of the 2024 F4 Spanish Championship season. The green flag at the back of the field, and now our youngsters will charge forward to continue their racing journey. Who's going to get to the first corner first? Time to find out. Great start from Chiara Valesari. Griffin Peebles has not got a bad start, but he's going to have a bit of work to keep Ernesto Rivera at bay. The drivers work their way forward down to the first corner. Not a great start for Igozzi. Round the outside, he's going to have pressure from Thomas Strauven. There's a car slow away at the back, but everybody seems to have got through without too much trouble. Peebles attacking Alasmari, but Alasmari has the advantage. And as they work their way through the first corner, Ernesto Rivera has got himself into third position. Contact further back. 2 or 3 cars going around, and I'm afraid it's game over for one of them. It looks to me like one of the... I don't quite make out who that was, but it wouldn't be at all surprised if that was Liam Block who ended up going around there at the tail end. Certainly we've had a bit of a bad start from René Lammers, who barely got away at all, and Jovan David is in trouble in the Santa Lock. So certainly a couple of drivers really struggling off the bat. And we are told that it is, it's Peter Buzinelos, in fact, in the road in. My apologies. So Peter Buzinelos spins around, and I think it may well have been Jovan David that he's tangled with. So 2 cars out of the race already. Let's have another look at it. The green flag flies to the back of the grid. The race gets underway, and it's René Lammers, look, who barely moves at all. Thank goodness everybody missed him. But René Lammers doesn't move very far off the grid at all. He has now got started, but it's all too late. And we're going to have to see what happens in the middle of the gaggle as they come through turn 3. Here it is, bang! And I'm afraid there is the contact between Peter Buzinelos and another driver. Couldn't see who it was that went in with him, unfortunately. But there's been a couple of drivers having difficulties as we watch Peter Buzinelos walk back to the pits. So already sounds like there's a little bit of drama then at Monlau Competition. The team that is masterminding Tim Gerhardt and Rehan Hakim, amongst others. Safety car has picked up the field. No surprises at all there. But certainly a couple of drivers have not come around at the end of the first sector. Jovan David is one of them. Peter Buzinelos is the other, as we see Matteo Quintarelli running through there in the middle of the field. But Gianno Alasmari who leads, then Griffin Peebles, Ernesto Rivera, James Agozzi, and Mattia Kolnagi has got ahead of Thomas Strauven. So Nathan Ty finds himself in P7 now. From Jan Petrovski, Andres Cardenas, and back into the points again goes Lucas Flusha up into P10. Good recovery drive from him yesterday. Looks like he's going to have to do the same again today. As into the pit lane comes Enzo Tarvanichkul. So the tie racer for Red Bull, very much following in the footsteps of Alex Albon, not able to complete the first lap without a trip to the pit. Gabriel Gomez has had exactly the same thing happen to him. There is Gomez. You can just see him in the background there for the TC Racing team. So the field has been caught up then. And poor René Lammers finds himself at the back of the field. There is Gabriel Gomez in the Thibaut Courtois racing car. And it looks as though they've got more problems with that machine. He didn't go very far in race 1 yesterday. And the 2-time winner of the Trofeo Ayrton Senna has ended up having more problems in his car racing debuts. This is a very tricky run and not really deserving of somebody of Gabriel Gomez's talents. He's been at the front row of many a karting race in the European Championships and the World Championships over the last 4 seasons, and definitely been the hallmark of the CRG international campaign. As Peter Buzinelos, the Australian driver for Rodin Motorsport, being recovered. Haven't seen where Jovan David's car is parked, but he certainly hasn't come around at the end of the first sector. As we look at the Brazilian driver, Gabriel Gomez, wondering what he needs to do to catch a break in Spanish F4. The Brazilian driver, although he runs under an Italian license, very much struggling to figure out what on earth he needs to do to get some fortune here. So was it Gomez that he hit? Yes, it might well have been. So that looks to me as though it is Peter Buzinelos that tangles then with Gabriel Gomez. And I think I just saw in the distance a slow-moving Santalot going up the hill. So that might have been Jovan David pulling out of the race then to join the retirements list on that opening lap. I certainly saw a slow-moving Santalot. So I can only guess by process of elimination that was the Sri Lankan driver, Jovan David. But as you can see there, not only Peter Buzinelos spun around and beached on the first corner, first tight hairpin, I should say, of the lap. Actually, technically works out to be turn 3 by the time you've gone through that apex. But also a lot of gravel deposited on the race circuit. Not many major surprises there in that one. But certainly very dramatic to see big problems then between Gabriel Gomez and Peter Buzinelos. So let's work our way through the order in full then, as a result of the issues that we had on the first lap. We've already talked a little bit about the top 10, so it's Gianno Alasmari, Griffin Peebles, Ernesto Rivera and James Agozzi, Mattia Kolnagi and Thomas Strauven, Then Nathan Tai ahead of Jan Piotrowski, Andres Cardenas and Lucas Blucher. Then Mikkel Pedersen along with Gue de Decker. Juan Cota is just in front of Maciej Gladish. And then we have Gustav Wisniewski, Matteo Quintarelli, Francisco Macedo and Maxi Restrepo, the Colombian, Lenny Ritt, the German driver, Adam Hideg of Hungary, and then Tim Gerhardt, Victor Dobrzhansky, Preston Lambert, Christian Cantu, Matus Reiber, and then we have Alexander Jacobi, Lorenzo Castillo and Felipe Frontino, Rahan Hakim, and then Leah Blanc just ahead of René Lammers. Technically speaking, René Lammers has actually got the fastest lap of the race, 2-minute 31.1, but that is largely based on the fact that he spent a lot of that lap having to catch up to the rest of the field, stuck behind the safety car. So his fastest lap is 2 seconds quicker than anybody else, but that's not really going to count for much once we go green flag racing again. Now, don't forget, we haven't just got the driver Peter Buzanelos and his car out of the race, but they've just had to pick that up and put it on low loader. They've also got to sweep the circuit a little bit, as out onto the circuit again goes Enzo Tarbanitschkul, so he will rejoin in the Campos car, albeit a lap down. Now, what's the point of rejoining when you're a lap down? Well, there's a couple of reasons you would do that. Basically, to get yourself a little bit of extra track time. I mean, obviously, you're there as much as everybody else. It's going to be a fabulous situation for the contenders if they're going to be able to keep going. Now, there is Ivan David's car. We don't actually know the reason for his retirement. I can only assume that he's had mechanical problems going through the first 3 or 4 corners, because I didn't see any contact with anybody. That doesn't necessarily mean that he has been able to do so, but the hopes and dreams of the Colombo Massive, as they would be known, the Sri Lankan fan base, unfortunately, very much disappointed in this one, as Ivan David is left disappointed with a retirement on the opening lap of race 2. Hopefully the team from Santalok will be able to get the car back together again, ready for their next challenge in the 3rd race later on today. It's going to be an interesting one for René Lammers when the race restarts, because he's obviously going to be down at 31st position with very little to lose and not a lot of time to gain ground. There is Enzo Tarbanitschkul, the karting world champion in the junior category in 2022, did a fantastic job to do so as well, in a category that was previously won by some exceptional talents. Karting world champions, there aren't many of them on the Formula One grid, surprisingly enough, and I wonder how many people watching along will know the identity of the karting world champions that have managed to get the job done in Formula One. There's actually far more European champions in karting in F1 racing than there are world champions, but Enzo Tarbanitschkul is a junior world champion and has done a fantastic job to do so. Picked up by the Red Bull Academy very quickly after that and has been with them ever since. Ran very well in his final karting season in the senior category, and even had a go in the gearbox category last year, which is a surefire side that he means business. Enzo Olivieri is down in pit lane with Gabriel Gomez.
Yes, Jake, hello. We are with Gabriel Gomez from TC Racing. So, first, how are you? Because we saw the situation. What happened?
Yeah, it's hurting a little bit my hand, but I think it's nothing special. I don't know, this week is going really difficult for us to race, because already yesterday we was at P10, P11 fighting for the points, and a crash really early in the race during the 2nd lap. And now again, just in the 3rd corner, I was fighting with a car from Lodin, doing side-by-side the corner, arrived another Santalok car, and just no brake and push me out from the track, and then I go into the car from Rodin. I don't know. The people think the race will finish after the 1st lap. It's really difficult for us. We cannot test the things. We cannot do a race because they think the race will finish in the 1st lap and they will gain everything in the 1st lap. Also, he go out of the race and then.
So well, the race is continuing, Jake.
Yes, it is. The race has restarted. Thank you, Enzo, and great to hear from Gabriel Gomez. It's green, 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 and we're off to a start. Keanu Alazari has retimed the restart perfectly. Griffin Peebles under massive scrutiny. Rivera's got through. James Igozzi trying to get through as well around the outside. Looks as though he might have been able to pick that one up. So Griffin Peebles caught out at the restart. That's Rivera through. It looks like it could be Igozzi through as well, though Peebles is fighting back the Australian, charging back through to the inside line as the rest of the field swarms its way through the first couple of corners. Again, perfect restart timing for Keanu Alazari. The Emirates driver has got through into the lead of the race again and has managed to pull clear. Now James Ligotti's battling away with Thomas Strauben and Mattia Colnaghi. Colnaghi coming around front. Oh, contact! And that's a destroyed car from Thomas Strauben. It's Nathan Ty that's got to him. That is bitter disappointment for the Campos driver. So Nathan Ty and Thomas Strauben are going to be out of this race, and that's going to be another safety car, surely, because of the way that those cars are beached on the course. Indeed, it is safety car. Well, these guys are obviously trying their hardest to go for an overtaking move. They want to push, they want to come up with the goods. And on this occasion, neither Nathan Ty nor Thomas Strauben are going to make it to the finish, and that's big problems for Thomas Strauben's championship aspirations. Just 9 points behind Lucas Flusha and Chiano Alazzari. And Thomas Strauben is not happy. Here's the replay of the restart. And look at that. Chiano Alazzari nails the throttle, completely takes Griffin Peebles by surprise, and is able to pull out about 2 or 3 car lengths in the result. Here's the move from Nathan Ty. Oh, in fact, Nathan Ty was not the man who was the culprit in that one. Nathan Ty had one of his teammates to his inside. So Nathan Ty completely blameless in that one. Thomas Strauben, he's not going to realise that. Strauben trudging away. He had his hand in the air to Nathan Ty as if to say, what were you doing? Nathan's response is going to be, well, it wasn't my fault. Somebody ran into the side of me. And that is absolutely the bitter disappointment then for Nathan Ty and the Campos Racing team. I think it was actually one of his teammates that was up the inside trying to dive in and make a move. Couldn't really see whether it was one of the Griffin Core cars or not, but certainly I think it's worth having another look at that if we get an opportunity, maybe to slow the footage down even more, because it's hard to identify who it is that was on the inside of him in that particular moment. But there was certainly quite a few of the Griffin Cores and Campos cars that were around each other. Hard to tell whether that was Jan Piotrowski or whether it was Andres Cardenas, the Peruvian. So the rescue cars are in turn 5. It would not at all surprise me if they actually decide to take the escape road just beyond. You can see it for yourself in the background. So with the rescue cars there in turn 5, there's a good chance that you'll actually see the cars in the top of your picture taking the escape road and following the safety car. There you go. That's exactly what they've chosen to do. So with the rescue cars in turn 5, the field is actually going to take the shorter line around at the hairpin. That's very sensible. And it's hard to know exactly who was the one caught out in that incident. So it'll be interesting to know who it is that's coming to the pits for repairs, if anybody has come into the pits for repairs, because at the moment it looks as though everybody else has gone around. So who was involved in that? That's the 18 of Andres Cardenas for the Griffin Core team. Now, ultimately, we need to see if there's anybody who's got damage to their car, to see who it is that's ended up causing the issue, because it was certainly 2 Campos Racing cars up on the inside of Strauben, and Ty was pitched into the side of Strauben's road in, but we didn't see who it was that caused the incident. It was certainly a white and black machine, which seems to suggest that it was. Right, let's have a look at it. Who is that on the inside, locking up and causing all sorts of chaos? That does look to me like it might have been Cardenas. So, yes, Andres Cardenas, the one that ended up having a big issue there, and it is his car that's taken a brunt of the damage to the far side. But I can't see any visible damage to the Peruvian's car, so he seems to have got away with that one rather dramatically. And he currently finds himself in P6. So Cardenas was able to get away with that. He didn't lose ground in the end to Lucas Flusha, who was in the KCL MP car. And yet again, Flusha is able to work his way further up into the points, thanks to other cars' misdemeanors. 6 laps completed, 10.5 minutes to go, plus the additional lap, of course, behind the safety car. So I wouldn't at all be surprised if that incident ends up being investigated by the officials, because it's very difficult to say who will actually take the blame for that, if anyone will take the blame for that. Well, let's have a look at the order as a result, because there's a couple of drivers that have really been able to change the face of their race as a result of that restart. So Chiano Alazzari took the lead early on. Ernesto Rivera, brilliant charge forward, managed to get ahead of Griffin Peebles. But fair play to the Australian, he held off the challenge of both James Ligotzi and Thomas Strauben earlier on. So Ligotzi now 4th, Colnaghi is in 5th position. Andres Cardenas, we're not entirely sure whether it was him who caused the incident between Nathan Tye and Thomas Strauben or not. We need official confirmation of that. But for the moment, he's in P6. Lucas Flusha now in P7. Jan Brashrovsky in 8th. So good reactions for Flusha to move forward. Due de Decker looking much stronger now in 9th position. And up into 10th place comes Maciek Gladish, the Polish driver and the former F1 Karting Academy trophy winner back in 2022. That's a competition that's been won by several very impressive racing drivers over the years, including the fabulous Charles Leclerc in 2011. 11th place for Michael Pedersen, Juan Cota in 12th, and then Gustav Wisniewski in 13th place in front of Francisco Macedo, then Matteo Quintarelli, Max de Restrepo, Adam Hideg, Lenny Ritz, Tim Gerhardt and Preston Lambert. Safety car in this lap. Victor Dobzhansky, Matas Reiber, Christian Cantu, Alex Jacobi 24th, then Filippo Fiorentino, Lorenzo Castillo, René Lammers has already made up some moves. Rehan Hakim, Leah Block, and a lap down is Enzo Tarbanichko. 30 of the 35 starters remain. And now it's all down to Chiara Malazzari again to get the jump on Ernesto Rivera. Will he do exactly the same thing he's done in previous races? Well, Rivera is definitely staying incredibly close to Chiara Malazzari. It's up to the young man from Dubai to hold his nerve. Let's see what he can do from here. He's actually taking a very different stance on the restart. Now he's gone for it, drops the hammer, and Chiara Malazzari already manages to build about a car length and a half as they come through. That could be enough. Griffin Peebles is already on the back foot. He's got the Red Bull youngster James Igozzi chasing him down on the slipstream as they come up over the top of the crest. It looks as though Ernesto Rivera's got a good restart. It's green, 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 green. And Chiara Malazzari is really going to struggle to keep Ernesto Rivera behind him. They're going to come side by side. Rivera's through. Ernesto Rivera takes the lead from Chiara Malazzari. Great restart from Rivera. 3rd position, not a bad start from Griffin Peebles. He's held off James Igozzi as they come through turn 1. But Ernesto Rivera leads the race then. It could be a 4th different winner in 5 different races in F4 Spain 2024. As the field works its way through on the first corner once again, through turn 3 of the hairpin, up through the left-hand flick, and then up the crest, down the drop, in the braking zone for the back straight, and Ernesto Rivera leads it. Chiara Malazzari has to think about the move on the inside, bails out of it, just wants to let Ernesto Rivera know that he's still there, and he still wants the victory. A couple of drivers running wide as they come out of the hairpin. Back up the climb, and there are yellow flags behind us, not sure what it is that's caused that. But certainly a few drivers already working their magic forward. Look at Griffin Peebles putting his team under pressure, and that's 2 cars into the gravel trap again. So that is Christian Cantu, and it looks as though his rival alongside him there also into the gravel trap. Can't quite make out who that is from this position, but we're about to find out who it is. Safety car for the 3rd time. Christian Cantu, and it's René Lammers. René Lammers, who is working his way through the field, trying to pick off a move or two. And unfortunately, René Lammers colliding with Christian Cantu, and both drivers out of the race. Well, the race will reset again then. And we're going to have a very interesting restart as Ernesto Rivera has taken the lead away from Chiara Malazzari. And that is devastating for René Lammers in the background, Christian Cantu in the foreground, as the 2 drivers clamber from their cars. And it's very much hard work on this occasion for the marshals and the officials. It looks as though the race director will have to have a word with the drivers at the end of this one. Just there's so much urgency from these guys to keep moving forward that we're just getting, you know, safety car after safety car after safety car. This is looking pretty difficult, even by F4 standards. You know, we haven't had a single green flag lap yet that hasn't been completed before a safety car intervention. We are told all incidents will be investigated at the end of the race, so the final finishing result may not be complete. It was a good initial restart for Chiara Malazzari. It just didn't quite work out once Ernesto Rivera got in the slipstream. Are we about to see the aftermath of the incident with the cars going up the hill? I think the camera may be about to shift, so we're not really going to see what happened, only the aftermath of it. As René Lammers and Christian Cantu find themselves out of luck. What a shame. So it looks to me though as though René Lammers had the inside line to Christian Cantu, whether he just tried his luck too ambitiously or whether he ended up being a little bit, perhaps maybe had a little bit of a difficulty with Christian Cantu turning in a little early. We don't know exactly what the situation is. So once again, they're having to take the escape road on the halfway point of the back straight. Frustrations for you, frustrations for me, frustrations for everybody in the paddock, I'm sure. Because everybody obviously wants to see a really strong race battle, and we really could have it with these guys. But unfortunately, there's just so many drivers wanting that exciting move. There's René Lammers getting a lift back to the pits. The good news is that from turn 4, it isn't really going to take you a long time to do that. So really tricky restart for Keanu Al-Azari, and that puts him down into the difficulties. So let's see what will happen for Ernesto de Vera on the restart. You can see the Racing Team Nederland colours on the nose cone, the black and white stripes, which is very reminiscent of the Racing Team Nederland colours that Jan Lammers used to race in his Le Mans 24 Hours days. And his son has always kept that tradition going throughout his karting career and has actually continued it on into the world of Spanish F4. So the order behind the safety car with 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go, plus the additional lap. Ernesto de Vera having taken the lead away from Keanu Al-Azari on the restart. Griffin Peebles third. James Zagotzi in fourth place from Mattia Colnaghi and Lucas Flusha up to sixth position now. Andres Cardenas, P7 in front of Jan Pestrovski, De Decker and Maciek Gladish. Then Mikkel Pedersen from Juan Cota and Gustav Wisniewski. Francisco Macedo and Adam Hideg. Then Matteo Quintarelli and Lenny Ritz. Maxi Restrepo, Tim Gerhardt, Preston Lambert, Matas Reiber, Victor Dobzhansky, Alexander Jacobi, and then Filippo Fiorentino, Lorenzo Castillo, Rehan Hakim, and Leo Blanc, with Enzo Travanichko still circulating, but he is a lap down after his time in the pits. And we now have 7 retirements from the race. Christian Cantu, René Lammers, the cause of this safety car period. Thomas Strauven and Nathan Ty, the cause of safety car number 2. And Gabriel Gomez, along with Ivan David and Peter Buzinelos, the cause of safety car number 1. But the race officials and the race director have informed us that all incidents are going to be reviewed and investigated after the race. So I have a feeling that there's going to be more than meets the eye to this one. All the results from this one are going to be provisional, as there could be a few different investigations that could change things rather dramatically. The fastest lap of the race, by the way, now is Griffin Peebles, who did a 1 minute 56.333, but that's all based on the fact that we haven't had a green lap completed yet. All the laps have been intervened by a safety car period. Speaking of which, safety car in this lap. The lights are going to be out on that Mercedes very shortly. Race officials have confirmed it, safety car in this lap. So now it's time for Ernesto de Vera to take up the stranglehold of the chase, and Keanu Al-Azari is going to be the chaser. So another safety car period for Keanu Al-Azari could actually benefit the boy from Dubai. Despite losing the lead of the race, he is now going to be the one charging after the very talented Ernesto de Vera. So the Mexican versus the Emirati. Could be very interesting to see who is going to be working their magic out on the far side. Let's see what happens out of the final turn. Can Keanu Al-Azari respond to the starting procedure of Ernesto de Vera, who's going to go for the drop of the hammer? Now he's gone for it, and Keanu Al-Azari and Griffin Peebles are going to be very close and intact. If they get a good run off the final turn, they could still get the slipstream. A fair job there. Griffin Peebles and Keanu Al-Azari are going to be working hard as they come off the final turn and up the crest along the main straight. It's green, 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 and Griffin Peebles is going to try and take on his teammate as we restart for the 4th time. We are under green flag conditions. But Keanu Al-Azari and Griffin Peebles are going to be at each other's throats to the first corner. No change. Al-Azari stays in front of Peebles as they go off Ernesto Rivera. A bit of a lock-up into turn 1 as everybody tries to keep it measured through those first couple of corners, and Al-Azari is already on the attack of the Mexican. Ernesto de Vera out of 3, up the climb to turn 4. Keep it nice and cool, ladies and gentlemen. We do not need another safety car. We want to go all the way to the checkered flag now. At least we could have 2 green flag laps of racing if we do that. Take your time, take your time. Still points on offer. Don't overdrive the cars, boys and girls. Couple of drivers going wide. Well, that was short-lived, wasn't it? 2 cars off the road, and one of them is Maxi Restrepo, the Colombian. The other one who is going to rejoin is Tim Gerhardt of the Monlau Competition Squad. But I'm afraid Ernesto de Vera is not going to be... I was going to say Maxi Restrepo is not going to be recoverable from the gravel trap. Now, they may decide to keep the race going with that corner under yellow flags, because Restrepo is a long way in the gravel trap. So we might be able to run with just that corner under yellow flags. So let's see if it continues. Well, there is Tim Gerhardt's recovering and limping back to the pits with a damaged car. But this race is still technically under green flags. There is a yellow flag on that part of the course. But can Ernesto Rivera hang on from Chiano Alazzari? We are not under safety car. We are going to go to the checkered flag. So Chiano Alazzari pushing Rivera. There's a great scrap going on for fourth place as well between Igozzi, Colnaghi and Lucas Flusha. Across the line, into the last lap we go then. And Rivera, Alazzari and Peebles will battle for the victory in this one here at Portimao. And it's 3 wide for fourth position. It looks as though Igozzi could end up losing out to both cars. Through goes Colnaghi, through goes Flusha, but not past Igozzi. So Colnaghi gets into fourth position. Watch out round the outside. Here comes Andres Cardenas. He wants a piece of this, and he almost bangs wheels with Lucas Flusha. So Colnaghi ahead of Igozzi and Flusha, then Cardenas, Petrovski, De Decker and Maciej Gladish looking good for the final point at the moment. Yellow flags on this corner. So we have no need for a safety car. There's just a yellow flag at turn 5. No overtaking. Green flag zone up the top of the hill. So now everybody looking for an opportunity. And it's still these three, Rivera, Alazzari and Peebles. It's still good for Alazzari championship-wise being P2. He may not be on the course for the victory unless he can get past the Mexican, but at least he is looking to increase his championship lead. As into the pits to retire comes Tim Gerhardt. But we need to be looking at the top of the hill where Rivera, Alazzari and Peebles are having their squabble for the race victory. Here they come, down the crest. A little bit of a slide there from Peebles. And in fourth, Matteo Colnaghi's done a great job to work his way past James Igozzi, with Lucas Flusha driving avidly well up into P6. Good recovery drive from him, considering he was outside the top 10 at the start. Chiano Alazzari has one final push on Ernesto Rivera. If he can get in the slipstream and come off the final turn, he may be able to drag race him to the line. He's certainly got the slipstream. He's going to be tight for it. This could be close. Chiano Alazzari pushing, trying to get a little bit more out of Ernesto Rivera. The final turn, the canter to the line, it's not going to be enough. Ernesto Rivera takes it with Chiano Alazzari second and sets the fastest lap of the race on the final lap. So Ernesto Rivera takes the victory from Chiano Alazzari. He becomes the 4th different winner in 5 races, and deservedly so after the nightmare that happened and occurred in the first round of the championship for Ernesto Rivera. The Mexican fan base of the Spanish F4 Championship can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Ernesto Rivera becomes the latest winner of the F4 Spanish Championship. 4 different winners in the first 5 races. And Chiano Alazzari in a strong second place will take the lead of the Drivers' Championship from Lucas Flusha, who finishes down in P6. Good points scored by Griffin Peebles and a podium finish as well for the Formula Winter Series champion. So some very solid racing there from the MP Motorsport teammates. Alazzari and Peebles maybe second and third, but Ernesto Rivera, the Mexican, has come through for Griffin Gorbay Campos to take a fabulous victory. And how about that from Chiano Alazzari? Actually gave his thumbs up to his colleague. Oh no, wait, that's Griffin Peebles, who got alongside Ernesto Rivera and then drove past him. A lot of congratulations from the other drivers, I'm sure. It's always a big moment when you win your first single-seater race in a championship campaign, and certainly for Ernesto Rivera, this was a very important one for him to win, to showcase that he still has a very important role to play in this championship fight. That means he's going to move ahead of Maciej Gladish in the championship fight, and that'll be a fairly handy 18 points in the championship for Ernesto Rivera. Lucas Flusha is going to score 6 for coming home in P6, but he will lose 9 points to Chiano Alazzari, who scores 15 for finishing in second place, and that will put Chiano Alazzari on a grand total of 75, while Lucas Flusha is going to be on 66. In fact, no, because Chiano Alazzari is going to be on 76, because he got the fastest lap of the race, so he'll get the bonus point from that as well. Oh no, it got taken off him on the last lap. My apologies. It got taken off him on the last lap, would you believe, by his own teammate, Griffin Peebles. So he will lead the championship by 9. But Ernesto Rivera will be a very emotional man getting out of the car. Excellent work from him in F4 Spain. The 5th race of the championship here at Portimao, and somebody is a very happy man indeed. Ernesto Rivera for gripping call by Campos, a winner in Spanish F4. It only took him 5 races, and he's done it. Excellent work for the Mexican. A very prominent restart for him. Really hunted Gianni Malazari on the 3rd start after the 2nd safety car period. Got himself into the lead, controlled it in the final 2 laps. Race management for Ernesto Rivera. And that's a very happy young man indeed, and very deserving of the race victory. So 9 drivers scoring points in this shorter race, of course, because it's 25 minutes plus the additional lap rather than 30 minutes plus the additional lap. So rather unfortunate that the man who finishes in 10th position this time, Maciej Gladish, just missing out on scoring a championship point. But Luis de Decker will be the man who scores the final point. But that's not to say that Gladish didn't do a great job to get back up there. Here's Enzo Oliveira for the first reaction with Ernesto Rivera.
Yes. Thank you, Jake. We are absolutely alive here on the pit lane. So the number 1, the victory is for you. So congratulations, felicitaciones. In Spanish, you are from Mexico. So tell me your feelings after the race, your first victory.
Yeah, I nailed the restarts. The start was not amazing, but I just kept cool. And yeah, the last 2 laps were a bit intense, but finally we got the win.
It was really eventful, no? With many incidents during the race. So describe this situation when you made this overtaking. Was absolutely nice. You're fighting really second per second against Al-Azari. It's big competitive also.
Yeah, the second restart against him was very good. So I got him into turn 1, and after that just focus on going forward.
So what means this race for you and this victory?
Well, it means a lot, a boosting confidence as well. And I want to thank all my coach Marco, my engineer Geray, my mechanic Sergi, and all the team.
People from Mexico are watching now in this streaming live completely. So say something for your fans, for people, for your family, what it means for them.
Pues gracias a todos los que me están viendo y pues ganamos.
Congratulations, thank you.
Thank you.
Jake, it's everything from the pit lane. So amazing and emotive situation. The first victory for the Mexican driver, Ernesto Rivera.
Very deserving of the victory as well. 4th different winner from 5 races in Spanish F4 so far in 2024. Bit of a crazy race though, lots of stops and starts there, Enzo. It's going to be a tricky one. Thanks very much indeed for your work, Enzo. We know you've got to get ready for the Euro Cup 3 race coming up,
Yes.
So we'll let you continue on your great work. Thank you.
Yes. See you.
Well, we have a new race winner in the F4 Spanish Championship. His name, Ernesto Rivera. A fabulous performance. A bit of a clumsy race at times. Several drivers obviously wanting to push the boat in very high octane motorsport. Problems all the way through the race. Several drivers coming a cropper with several incidents causing issue. But we are going to continue on with the F4 Spanish Championship later on. Despite all the drama, we have a new race winner and a new championship leader. Gianni Malazari leads the way in the points. Ernesto Rivera becomes the 4th different winner in 5 races. And we are getting ourselves ready for the next encounter later on this afternoon. Join us again for race 3 of the F4 Spanish Championship coming up in just a couple of hours. Join us in a few minutes for the 2nd race of the weekend in Euro Cup 3.